What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Earn it, save it, invest it. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can turn $100 a month into $1 million by using AI, and I'm going to do it all under 10 minutes. So let's get right to it. The first thing I did was ask ChatGPT, how can I turn $100 per month into $1 million using the stock market? Now, most people who are rich, wealthy, right, that have a lot of money, billionaires, millionaires, they're going to say that they got rich mostly through three ways, right? They got rich through their own business, through real estate, and through stock market, right? So those are the top three things that we want to do. Now, stock market, I believe, is the easiest and most accessible for people. And someone who has $100 in their checking account can put $100 in the stock market. You can put money into real estate through the stock market as well. There are real estate stocks, right? So you could also do that as well. You can have exposure to real estate through the stock market, but really it'd be hard for you to invest $100 into a house, right? Something like that. $100 into a business, into your own business, right? Those people made money by creating their business and growing their business, making sales. So $100 a month is the easiest way for just the average type of person to become a millionaire by a certain point, and it just makes it easier, right? So let's break it down really quick. So when I asked ChatGPT, how can I turn $100 per month into $1 million using the stock market, this is what it said. Turning $100 per month into $1 million through the stock market is achievable, but requires discipline, consistency, patience, and realistic expectations. Here's a practical step-by-step guide on how it could be done. Number one, set a clear expectations and timeline. To reach $1 million by investing $100 a month, we need to first check if it's even realistic, depending on your investment horizon and expected returns. The monthly investment is going to be $100, right? Your annual investment will be $1,200. Now we need to determine the required rate of return. To find out what's realistic, we use investment calculator, invest $100 a month, and the stock market average return is 8 to 10% per year. It's actually about 15% now, but historically if you take away the last 15 years, then it was about 10%, 11, maybe 12, but it was closer to 10% rather than 15. Now that we've had a pretty big boom over the last 15 years, now the average is around 15, but this is being conservative. But it kind of shows you all of them, right? Let's do the quick math. Annual return, 8%. So it takes you about 53 years to get there. You have 10%, 46, 12%, 41, at 15% annual return, you're looking at 34 years, right? So you can tell that there's a big difference of if you can get that annual return of 15%, you can turn $100 a month into $1 million in 34 years. Now, a lot of people, most of the human instinct is going to tell you that's way too long, right? We love that instant gratification. The thing is, when you think about yourself as a 20-year-old, right? A 20-year-old, and you're like, hey, when I have my kids and they're 18, 20, 25 years old, where do I want to be? Would I like $1 million in the bank? It might be hard to fathom, but like a 20-year-old after 35 years is going to be 55. Let's say they have a kid at 25, their kid is 30. Let's say they have a kid at 30, then their kid is 25 years old, right? So I think to have a retirement, to have a little nest going for you, is really good to have. Now, some people are going to think at 34 years, oh my God, like for me, I'm 36. That would put me at 70 years old. Some people, that's just, why would I do that, right? And $100 a month is not that much money. It is really not that much money. $100 a month, I mean, a meal now, you go to fast food, it is at least just for one person, $12 to $15. It's insane. So you're talking maybe 7 fast food meals you have to skip. If you wanted to, let's say you're like, oh, I'm going to skip, you can skip probably 4 meals, 4 regular meals that if you go out or something, and then an event, right, that's $100, and it may not be the best thing to think about, but hey, I'm going to sacrifice in one part of my life so that way I can consistently grow this nest egg, right? So let's just keep going though. Step 3, strategies to accelerate the growth. Maybe increase your monthly contributions. Even slightly increasing your monthly contributions drastically reduces the timeline. For example, $200 a month at 10% reaches $1 million in about 38 years. And $500 a month cuts it down to roughly 30 years, right? So you still, again, people, you can, like, oh, $200 a month, that went from 100, 200 now, this is a really big bill. It depends on what you are able to do and what you can withstand. But again, just $100 is not that much. Maximize your return. Invest in higher return, but also higher risk index funds or ETFs. They have the Vanguard S&P 500, the Vanguard Growth, the NASDAQ Composite, the Russell 1000 Growth ETF. They have a bunch of different ETFs, and I can show you a few they are higher risk, but they are higher growth. And after 35 plus years, they will definitely be on the higher growth side, because it's just, that's how it works out kind of after time. You want to have compound. Step 4 is compound consistently. Compounding is your strongest ally. Reinvesting your dividends and capital gains accelerates your growth significantly over decades. Essentially, and this is what I try to tell people when they have kids, and I'm saying, get your kids a minor Roth IRA. Start investing ASAP. Compounding interest is your best friend in investing. Never withdraw funds prematurely, because if you take it away, well, now that money can't compound and grow more. And you want to invest consistently each month, no matter the market conditions. Even if the stock market goes down, let's say you went to the grocery store and all of a sudden all the food was on sale, right? It was discounted at 10, 15, 20%. You would be like, I might even buy a little bit more. I want to buy more strawberries. Why wouldn't you do that with good companies? These good companies aren't just going to disappear, but the market is giving you a discount. Buy more. So consistently buy. And when things are going down, when the discounts are there, don't freak out and say, no, I'm not going to buy. I'll wait till the prices get higher. No, buy now at the discounted rate. Minimize your fees. Step 5, minimize taxes and your fees. Choose a low-cost index fund and invest with tax advantage accounts, IRA, Roth IRA, or 401k if you have one with your work. Example action plan. Monthly investment is $100 and you increase it annually by 5%. Investment choice would be an S&P 500 index ETF, which is a very common one. The account type is a Roth IRA. IRA is individual retirement account. It's a tax-free growth and at withdrawal. So you're putting money into this account after you've already been taxed from your job. So when you take it out, tax-free. The investment period is about 30 to 40 years. Your average annual return is about 8 to 10%, and your outcome is $500,000 to $1 million. Now, I'd say that is very realistic for most people to do. It's just hard for people to do it. People don't want to go through. Like if I told you right now, if you sign up, put your email and your phone number, and I'll give you $150 to go to the grocery store, everyone would do it. But if I said sign up with your account, you have to put in your checking account. Obviously, that's a little different, but you put in your checking account, you put in some of your information, and then you can start investing for your future and maybe become a millionaire. It's too much work. What? It's the same thing, but we want that instant gratification. Wait, I could spend that $150 right now in the grocery store or the food I need to eat right now? Okay, yeah, let's do it. So the realistic summary, with just $100 a month, you'll require over 40 years to reach $1 million, even with excellent market returns. To accelerate this process, gradually increase your monthly contributions as your earnings grow. Practical recommendations: start now and gradually increase your monthly contributions. Invest in diversified, low-cost ETFs like the Vanguard VOO or Schwab. Be patient, disciplined, and consistent. I think that's really number one. Start now and gradually increase your monthly contributions, and be patient, disciplined, consistent. That is very key. Utilize tax advantage accounts to optimize returns. So let's say you have nothing saved right now. You want to save for, let's say, 45 years. Your rate of return is about 10%, and you will be contributing $100 per month calculated. You have 862. If you go to 46, you have 950. If you go to 47, you're at $1 million. So it takes you about 46, 47 years at 10% and $100 a month to get to $1 million. Now, if you just went up to 15%, right? Went up to 15%, now you're at 5 million with that same $100, right? Now you're gonna say, well, where can I get 15% interest rate then, right? Where can I find that rate of my, the rate of return? Well, let's kind of go over this. Everything's shut down, so now you gotta go. All right, so let's go into indexes. And let's just see, so these are a percent, right? This is the percent, and let's go here 5 years. So we are in 2025. Let's go all the way to about 2020 or 2015, right about there, right? So this is looking at essentially a 10-year chart for everybody, okay, in the last 10 years. Let's see what the 10-year rate is. Now, I did the interest, or I did the calculations. If you have 10% compounding interest per year over 10 years, it comes out to about 150%. So you'd be looking at, you want something to grow at about 150, 160% for it to grow at about the market pace. So now, as you can see, these percentages, this is the Dow Jones, 130. This is the Qs, 332. This is an index fund that is exposed to the NASDAQ, basically. It follows the NASDAQ. This is the S&P 500, which is 165%. I have a bunch of charts I can show you later. This is the Russell 2000, which is at 72%, which is not as high. Right, this is another S&P 500 index fund. And then this one is at 1,000. So this tracks the Qs. The TQQQ is essentially the same thing as the Q, the index fund, but it goes 3 times. So if the Q is up 1%, the TQQQ goes up 3. And if the Qs are down 1%, well, TQQ is also down 3%. So there's, again, the higher risk, higher reward. And as you can see over the last 10 years, this one has had a lot less volatility. It had a drop here, but not as much. And it's had some gains, but not as much. This one has had a significant drop, and then it just had a significant uptrend as well, right? So that's the difference of these indexes. So you have to figure out, okay, which one do I want to invest in? Now, you can also invest into stuff like tech, right? You have Apple over the last 10 years, 583. Adobe, 387. AMD, 3,600. Amazon, 900%. What is this? Broadcom, 1,100. And this is all after the recent drop that we've just had. Google, 473. IBM, I think, is actually trailing 70% basically. You have Meta, you have Microsoft, Netflix. All these big companies have well outperformed the market. So let's say you got a bigger chunk of your money into most of these kinds of companies. You consistently every week or so kind of look up, hey, what are these companies doing? What am I investing into these companies? Well, let's see how much, 15%, right? So now let's go to 35 years, right? You're at $1 million. So if you start at 20 years old, 25 years old, you could be 55, 60 years old and be a millionaire at just $100 a month. It's amazing. Where most of us, when we fathom being a millionaire, we're thinking of how much work we have to do and how much money we have to save and all this money we have to invest. It's like, it's this bigger thing where if I guarantee you, if I handed you right now something that said $100 a month, and it grows just 5%, so next year it's $105 a month, the year after that it'll be like $111, whatever, right? Wouldn't you take that bill? Wouldn't you say, yeah, I'll pay that bill? If I said this bill, it's not for Netflix, it's not for your electricity, it's not for anything, this is so you can become a millionaire. This is your millionaire bill. You would take it, and you'd pay it on time, and you would do it. You'd pay it just as fast as you'd pay your rent and your mortgage and all that shit, right? Because, right? Because it just seems so realistic for normal people. I am 36 years old. I am not a millionaire. I am not someone who has trust funds and stuff like this, right? I'm an average person who tries to get by and do what I can, and I am on track to be a millionaire earlier than 35 or 55 or 60 years old. Because I have been doing this now on an earlier pace. I've been investing more. I've been investing in my 401k. I've been doing this. But a lot of people that I've talked to that are around my age, even younger, you know, or even older actually, but younger people in their 20s, I feel like compounding interest is so huge. Let's look at this really quick. Right, the 35 years, 15%, $100 a month gets you $1 million, right? So it's only 35 years and $100 a month. And as you can see, you only have at year 24, 221,000, right? It's these last years where it just grows so significantly. So imagine if I had an extra 10 more years, right? Instead of investing this money, I started at 35. Let's say I started at 30 years old, right? I'm 65 years old, retirement age, right? 65. So I had 35. I was 30 years old when I started this. So let's say I started at 20. Let's change the 35 to 45. Now I'm at 4 million, right? The time is, it's on your side if you want it to be and if you take advantage. Now, again, if you are like in your 40s and your 50s, you're like, oh, well, how am I going to make $1 million in 10, 15 years? That's really not going to be able, you can't do that with $100 a month unless you're finding the best of the best stocks every single day, right? But the fact, this video is really for people who are around my age, who are becoming parents, who you can control your kids. You can control your kids 45 years, 15% at $15 a month. They have $15 a month. When they turn 18, you tell your child, hey, pay this bill, it's $15 a month, they'll do it and they have $500,000. So it's just, we got to start promoting this. We got to start telling people more about this. That's one of the biggest reasons why I have this channel, is so I can promote earn it, save it, invest it, and compounding interest. If we can get people, this is my ideal, right? My ideal way of how things can kind of operate in a sense. Let's say someone's born, right? We have a birth. Now we have all these different programs. The United States pays for so many different programs. We pay for other countries' programs. We pay for so much. There is no doubt in my mind that the United States could afford to give every child that is born in the US $20 a month over the first 50 years of their life at 10%. I believe that could happen. Now, can you imagine everybody being guaranteed at birth this amount of money? Right? Now, I understand, right? You're looking at it like, oh, well, I have to retire, I have to go to that age, but it would put, first of all, you know the saying like, oh, well, first, in order to fix the problem, you have to admit your problem, or to fix your addiction, you have to admit you are an addict or something, right? You have to understand that, like, by knowing that you have this and knowing that, oh, it's only $20 a month, just knowing it and saying it, having that potential might motivate you to do more. So I don't know. That's my ideal way. I think that would be awesome. Maybe there's, other stipulants with that. I don't know. But I just think if we all did this in some way, we could all afford $20 a month for our kids. Now I understand there'd be like a 3-kid limit, right? You're like, all right, look, we're not going to have 10 kids and we're not handing you all of your kids. Like, I would get that. But again, I just think if we can get into the mentality and the mindset of starting earlier, and if it's starting now, right? I have a niece that is about to be 2 years old, has nothing in an account, and I have another niece who's 7 years old and has $1,700 in the account, right? I'm really trying to push the mom to have that 2-year-old start now, because she would be the earliest one, even earlier than my kids, and she could have all the time on her side, So let's just try. That's just my point. This is going on a little too long for the video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you feel a little bit motivated to just start putting in $20 a month, $50 a month. And if you were growing older, you're in your older teens, you're in your 20s, put $100 a month. And that way, when you're older, you can have $1 million. And let's say your life already went well. You don't need that $1 million, right? It's like, I'm good. That $1 million, you can help out friends and family, you can help out a good cause, you can have a better vacation, an extravagant vacation, right? That's just my 2 cents. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you got something out of it, and at the end of the day, Earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.